Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. The purpose of this interaction is to brief you about these developments and to share Pakistan's concerns at the highly irresponsible and destabilizing Indian actions and statements. We look forward to answering any questions after the briefing ends. Let me start by reiterating that Pakistan condemns terrorism, all its forms and manifestations. No cause or objective can possibly justify taking lives of innocent people. This is the national policy, and this is the Islamic policy. Killing of a human being tantamount, as per Quran, killing of the entire humanity. And saving a life tantamounts to saving the entire humanity. So we believe in that. Let me say that targeting of innocent civilians is surely deplorable and condemnable. And this is happening in many parts of the world, and we have been subscribing our views and our policy everywhere it happens. We are concerned over the loss of lives during the Pahalgam attack. We also extended our condolences. Being a victim of terrorism itself, no one can feel the pain of those impacted by this scourge like Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, as the member of the UN Security Council, Pakistan constructively engaged with the other members on the press statement which is issued by the UN Security Council on the Pahalgam incident in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. The UN Security contains condemnation in the strongest possible terms of. On the other hand, it is India that glorifies and even celebrates its assassination campaign and sponsoring of terrorism in Pakistan and other countries. No other country has sacrificed as much as Pakistan, nor suffered so much due to terrorism. More than 80,000 lives have been sacrificed. Economic losses of about over $150 billion have been incurred. And in totality, the economic and the indirect losses add up to close to $500 billion. We have been working closely with the international community to address this common threat. Since 22nd of April, Foreign Office has been actively involved and in interacting with the international community. At least a dozen foreign ministers, deputy prime ministers, and the Prime Minister, I have been in touch and have discussed and explained the situation. And I'm sure, you being from the media must be already up to date, because MOFA as a policy, after each interaction with any dignitary, we make a very brief statement as to that interaction. The countless sacrifices made by our valiant law enforcement agencies, as well as common citizens, have helped address the threat of terrorism and contributed towards regional and international peace and stability. In fact, Pakistan has been a victim of terrorism that is planned, orchestrated, and sponsored by India. In this backdrop, it is preposterous to even suggest any kind of association of Pakistan with this incident. The hype that is created on each and every incident in India seems to be deliberate and choreographed. It is unfortunate that India continues to weaponize unsubstantiated accusations and allegations as part of its disinformation strategy for narrow political ends. This is not the first time that India has resorted to such tactics. They have done it before, and they have resorted again to the same what they did in Pulwama incident and earlier ones. In fact, this has now become a very familiar template aimed at diverting attention from India's inability to suppress the inalienable right of the Kashmiris to self-determination, its security failures in illegally Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, as well as its decades-long state terrorism and oppression. To distract the international community's attention from the horrors of what's happening in the Indian illegally held Kashmir, India deliberately raises tensions with Pakistan. A durable solution for India lies in focusing on its internal problems instead of raising fingers on other countries. India has been deploying the allegations of terrorism to achieve its strategic objective for long. India has a history of using the excuse of terrorism for introducing draconian laws to suppress the innocent Kashmiris in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir and to defy the UN Security Council resolutions, bilateral agreements, and international law. A case in point being India's illegal and unilateral actions of 5th of August 2019 reminds us of the blatant violation of the relevant UN Security Council resolutions and the Fourth Geneva Convention, as well as India's own commitments. India needs to wise with high-profile visits. Please make no mistake. The root cause of instability and conflict in South Asia is the unresolved and long-festering Jammu and Kashmir dispute. India's illegal occupation of the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir in stark violation of the UN Security Council resolutions and grave violations of the human rights must remain a matter of grave concern for the international community. At the same time, all such incidents are used to whip up domestic political sentiment for narrow political gains. We remain extremely concerned at the very vitriolic, highly inflammatory, and blatantly Islamophobic narrative being directed against the Kashmiris and the Indian Muslims. Indian media and political leaders are directing a similar discourse against Pakistan. This highly irresponsible ploy for narrow objective gains is dragging the entire region towards extreme instability. India made allegations against Pakistan after the Pahalgam attack without an iota of evidence and with such dramatic speed. Pakistan has nothing to do with it, and we have said so right from the beginning, and I repeat, Pakistan has nothing to do with Pahalgam incident, period. We demand an independent and transparent probe by neutral investigators as announced by the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mohammad Shahbaz Sharif. Any TORs in this regard should be credible and mutually agreed. Pakistan has neither any connection to it, as I explained, nor is the potential beneficiary. At a time when Pakistan economy is stabilizing and we are making significant progress against terrorism, we need to question why this situation is being created by India all of a sudden and what is the motivation behind it. The actions that India has announced after its Cabinet Committee on Security are illegal and highly irresponsible. Holding in abeyance of the Indus Waters Treaty is unilateral and illegal. There are no such provisions in the treaty. It cannot be amended without consensus. It cannot be terminated without consensus. And in case of any disagreement or issues, there are forums provided in the treaty which should be invoked. This action shows India's blatant disregard for the sanctity of international treaties. It sets a dangerous precedent. It strikes at a fundamental pillar of the region with profound implications for regional and global